have to go flat C.
I'm going to have to grade him a little bit lower. I'm sorry about it.
The madness upon us in multiple facets, and, well, we just hope it begins soon enough. Welcome into Matt's Madness. I am filling in for the usual host, Talha Rao. Brendon Hodges, you probably know me from the Reviews, CBB Reviews flagship podcast. Taking a different role today, I'm going to sit back and relax, and we're going to talk some ACC tournament basketball. Specifically, two teams that you all know we care very much about in the Florida State Seminoles and the Syracuse Orange. Mostly with Florida State today, which is why we bring in a very special guest, expert per se, runs a very influential TikTok account. She is Nyrie Iskandarien, coming to us, I assume, live from Tallahassee, Florida.
Yes.
Very subtle in that regard. She has the FSU shirt on, the ACC champions, fathead in the background, and a bunch of March Madness stuff. You are really feeling
thanks for
yourself
having me.
No, it's our pleasure.
Yeah, I had to come on strong on the podcast. I couldn't get eaten up. I had to support my boys.
I completely understand that. Mat Mlodzinski is not supporting his boys. You can't tell right now, but I'm going to throw him under the bus. In his own words, his regular polos are all in the wash. And so you can see it a little bit there. He's wearing his Seton Hall University polo to talk about ACC basketball. So I'm not sure.
And he went to Syracuse.
He went to Syracuse for graduate school. He went to Seton Hall for his undergraduate.
That's a little more slack.
For those of you who are new to this show, it's our version of First Take. We're going to debate really short, quick, to the point, punchy. We got 3 topics to go over today, and we're going to start off with a bang with the Seminoles of Florida State. We talk about the ACC a lot. We talk about them as the pride of college basketball. They're usually the best conference. Been a down step for a lot of teams in the ACC this year, though. The Seminoles, no exception, 17-13 this season, 8th in the ACC, and set for a second-round matchup against Syracuse to lead off the ACC tournament. So we'll start with the expert. Nyrie, how would you grade Florida State's season this year?
All right. Well, obviously, the past couple of years, Florida State has been, per se, on the come-up, being talked about, getting kids to the pro, Coach Leonard Hamilton, great program. This year has been very rough as a big FSU basketball fan, but I do not want to grade them too low because a lot of it was out of anyone's control. We got struck with tons of injuries with our high scorer, Kayla Mills, our 2 vets, Malik Osborne and Anthony Plight, along with our big Naheem. It was very tough, so I think I'm going to have to go flat C.
Flat C. All right. I mean,
flat C.
I can see where you're coming from. I mean, we actually talked before the show, and Brendon mentioned, he's like, I think someone's going to give Florida State a C. I'm going to have to grade him a little bit lower. I'm sorry about it. I think when you have expectations as a top 25 team, and, you know, at this point, they're not even close to the bubble. I mean, this team is not going to make the NCAA tournament. I might have to go with a D. I mean, I understand the injuries. I totally get that point. But when I look at Leonard Hamilton, I kind of expect more than, you know, an 8 seed in this ACC conference. Yeah, I'm going to have to go with a D right there.
With the cards we were dealt, we basically had a bunch of new freshmen and walk-ons running our basketball team, which, yes, I agree. We came in this season, top 25, high expectations, first in the ACC, second in the ACC, whatever, wherever we were. Obviously, we didn't meet the expectations, but it's hard to completely blame Coach Hamilton and the program because it was just impossible at one point to run a solid offense or run a defense without any of our starters. We played games in a row where we had 0 of our starters, which is crazy. We were having our walk-on start, which, shout out, like, good for you. But, like, I mean, I feel like I would feel bad rating them anything below a C because it's out of anyone's control at that point.
Yeah, I get that. I think the one game that sticks out to me, Nyrie, is the Pittsburgh loss, just because, I mean, Pittsburgh is by far one of the worst teams in Power 6 college basketball this season. At that same point, again, I will give you credit. When you got walk-ons in the game, I mean, that's just no coach is ever prepared for that. So, maybe I'm being a little bit harsh. I guess I just look at Florida State as kind of this powerhouse team. When you look at the ACC year in, year out, it's not just Duke and North Carolina anymore. It's Florida State. I feel like you kind of expect Louisville to be up there too. They had a really big down year, and Virginia. And this year, all three of those teams had far below average seasons. So I guess that's why I'm a little bit harsh on all those three.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Overall, not happy with any of it. We beat Duke, very happy about that. First meeting with them, beat them, but that's also when we had our full team. And then after we beat that Duke game, we beat Miami twice. After all that happened, injuries came, this came, and then our season was basically over at that point, losing like 6 straight in a row.
Well, I got to say, Matt, if you're going to give Florida State a D, I hate to think of what you're going to give another certain ACC team that also lost to Pitt and that we'll be talking about later on. By that logic, it's got to be at least a D-, maybe an F. You never know. We're not talking too much about Syracuse today. But as we move on, Nyrie mentioned Leonard Hamilton. And this question is honestly, to me, and I'll give my opinion here, unbelievable that we even asked this question. Whoever produces this show and comes up with this content has a very, very, very big problem with their mindset about coaches and the coaching carousel. We'll start with Matt this time because, wink, wink, he definitely did not come up with this question. I'm very sure of that. Should the Seminoles, Matt, move on from Leonard Hamilton after this poor, as you've described it, season?
Yes, I did produce this. I did come up with this question. I will say, though, that Ariel Puderman did write an article earlier in the season.
You would make the Kansas fan the scapegoat.
Yes, he was questioning Leonard Hamilton's future with this team. But I digress. I think he should come back, but I think Florida State needs to get a plan in place pretty soon. And I only go with that reasoning because, I mean, Leonard Hamilton's 73 years old. He turns 74 before next season, which I feel like is kind of hard to believe because he really it doesn't seem like he's been at this Florida State program that long. He's been there about 20 years now. And basically, I think if Florida State wants to keep with the route that they're going, again, one of the better programs in the ACC, I think they want to make sure that they know what the next step is after Leonard Hamilton calls it quits. I don't think they should move on from him per se, but I think they need to be prepared for when he either moves on or if next season also kind of mirrors this season, because obviously this season definitely didn't live up to the expectations. Last season, this was a Sweet 16 team, and before that, Sweet 16 Elite 8 runs. So this is not prototypical to what we've seen from Florida State recently, but I do think that they have to be mindful that it did happen this year, and you don't want to make it a habit because obviously this is a Florida State team that, you've seen what's happened with the football program, but it's a basketball program too now. This is not just a football program, and I think they need to be prepared for what might happen next.
I do not want to hear any Coach Hamilton slander because he is seriously a legend at FSU. Everyone that watches college basketball knows that he is a great coach. He brings so much experience to Florida State. He literally produces NBA players year after year. We see it in front of our own eyes. Patrick Williams, Seven Patel, Scotty Barnes, Malik Beasley. We keep seeing it. He produces NBA stars. I see what you're saying, rough season, but I don't want to hear any slander on him. I know he just signed a contract, I think last season or the season before, correct me if I don't know if you guys would know, but for 5 years. So he's locked in for a bit more, but he's a great coach. And I know we have an assistant coach, Charlton Young, CY they call him. I think he takes on a big role during the games on getting the energy right for the boys and supporting the boys that Coach Ham technically doesn't have. Like you said, he's an older coach. He's 73 years old. He's not coming off the bench going crazy with his guys because, I mean, I don't really think he can be, but he's bringing so much knowledge that a lot of other college coaches don't have. Again, it was a season that nobody expected considering last season and the season before, but it's how it is. Don't want to hear any Coach Ham slander. He is the GOAT.
Okay, I would not go that far.
I
would not go that
far. He's a great coach. He knows what he's doing.
If you were to say Leonard Hamilton was the GOAT of Florida State men's basketball coaches, I would agree with you wholeheartedly. However, he's not the GOAT of Florida State by any means. I believe that's Bobby Bowden.
No, 100%.
And he is nowhere near the GOAT of college basketball coaches.
No.
I seem to think there was a guy who was coaching last night who has an argument for that. There's also a guy who's long deceased that lived in Los Angeles who was also way up there. Then, of course, you have a couple guys, Adolph Rupp. Let me think here. I said Wooden already. I said Coach K. There are plenty. So, not the GOAT. Go to Florida State men's basketball coach.
All right, listen, it was in the heat of the moment. You say what you say. Everyone says that about someone. If you watch any basketball, you know he isn't the GOAT of college basketball.
I'm not saying Konzo Martin is the GOAT of Missouri basketball just because I'm from the state of Missouri.
Oh my God, coming at me. All right.
Hey, I play it both ways here. That's what a good host does. Also, what a good host does is transition just like that. So, looking ahead, March Madness is upon us. That's why we're here on Matt's Madness, because we want to talk about March Madness. There's a lot of madness going on here, especially with Matt's polo and Nyrie's takes on GOAT coaches. But I digress. First round of the ACC tournament. Coincidentally, Florida State is playing Syracuse in the 8-9 game. By the way, that's set for noon Eastern on March 9th. That's this coming Wednesday on ESPN. Don't know if any of us will be able to watch it because I'll be working. I would assume Matt's going to be working.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. I don't know what you're doing, but yeah. So
I'm watching it. Never miss a game.
Never miss a game. That's a true
fun fact, little break here. Fun fact, since my freshman year, I'm graduating this year. I haven't missed one Florida State home game.
Congratulations. That's a good track record to have.
Yeah.
Anyway, 8-9 game. It is a toss-up per se, again, due to seeding and how similar these two teams' seasons have gone. During the season, in case you guys were wondering, as I scroll through the schedule here real quick, Florida State and Syracuse split the season series, both teams winning on the road, all ironically enough. So not something you'd expect. It's the rubber match coming into this Wednesday. So let's start with Nyrie, who I assume I know who she's going to pick. Who will win this matchup and earn the right to face a very ticked off Duke team coming off a senior night and Coach K send-off night against North Carolina?
I am clearly biased in this answer because
I'd be upset if you weren't.
Florida State, obviously, but I do believe Florida State will take the dub. Yesterday, we got Caleb Mills back, which was really big for us. He shot, I'm pretty sure, like 7 for 8 or something like that. Came back from multiple games off, went crazy. We have Anthony Plight back also. So we're going into the ACC tournament with a couple of our injured players back, which is really big for Florida State. Obviously, Syracuse has Buddy, which I would say is the biggest start on the team. I don't know. I do think it's even matchup for this year, considering both the seasons that these two teams have, but I'm riding with Florida State. But it's scary for both teams because they're going to end up playing Duke the next game. So we'll see who makes it there.
As much as I want to pick Syracuse. I want to pick my orange, but I also, as a journalist, have to be reasonable. And I've looked up Buddy Boeheim's track.
When have you ever been reasonable about Syracuse?
Very true.
Or Seton Hall.
But I mean, this is too hard to ignore. Buddy Boeheim's played 4 games in his career against Florida State. Buddy Boeheim's he won the ACC scoring title this year, so we know the damage that he can do on the basketball court. In those 4 games against the Seminoles, he averages 7.5 points per game. Not 17, 7. Florida State shut him down one of those games to a 0-point game, but he didn't score. And this year, last time out, Buddy did put up 18, but in the first game only had 6. So what I've seen is a Leonard Hamilton coach team that has been able to consistently shut down Buddy Boeheim. And I think that's the key, especially with no Jesse Edwards in this game against a Florida State team that always dominates on the boards, that already hurts Syracuse against most teams, especially without their starting center, who they've been without for a few weeks now. Probably no Symir Torrance, who is able to help keep the pace off the bench. It's a short bench already, but now you're expecting almost all the starters to maybe play the entire game. And I just don't know if that's going to be able to last. Things could change. Who knows? Maybe Buddy will, finally have a game against Florida State. But just taking that into consideration, I've actually got to go with the Seminoles, and Syracuse's season ends on Wednesday.
Well, Syracuse leads the all-time series 8-6 in 14 times that these teams have matched up against each other. Before we get to our final thoughts here, an X factor from both sides, starting with the Orange, Matt. Who is your X factor going into this game?
I got to go with Frank Anselm, because he's in Jesse Edwards' role. So someone's going to have to step up down low. You can't really count on Barama Sidibe because of all the injuries he's been through, even though he's played pretty well since he has gotten back. I just don't want to put that much pressure on saying, oh, this guy's the key. He needs to, get 12 points and 10 rebounds. So I'll say that Anselm needs to play big. And also, I think he's going to get more minutes, because Jim Boeheim is probably looking at this season now as close to a wrap. So I think some of the younger guys might get some more playing time in this ACC tournament, however far they make it.
All right. I'm good to go. Good.
Do you have an X factor for the game?
Yeah.
Can
I chime in?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm going to say Matthew Cleveland, because our 5-star freshman here coming in, top 30 ESPN, has had a rough start to his freshman season in the beginning. He was in a lot of the mock drafts going round 1, early round 2, and then now he's completely off it. But lately he's been picking up, and I think it's a big game for him to kind of step up and show why he was a 5-star top 30 ESPN player as one of the last games of the season. I think it's important for him to shut out strong and show everyone what he's capable of.
Well, perhaps the last game of both of these teams' seasons, perhaps the last game in the illustrious career of Syracuse head coach Jim Boeheim. You never know. Before we go, Nyrie doesn't know this, Matt does, and he's been asking me about it for a while. I am very big into trivia. And seeing as that both of these teams most likely won't make the NCAA tournament, I took the liberty of looking at both of these teams' best finishes in the National Invitational Tournament, otherwise known as the NIT. And I'd like to see how knowledgeable you guys are about that finish. Don't need to know the year. I just need to know which round, actually, you know what? Which round they made it to, and if they won or lost in said round. And actually, I am going to ask you for the year. So we'll start with Matt, because the pressure is always on him. Matt, the best finish for the Syracuse Orange in the NIT came when?
I will go with a Final Four loss, whatever you call it, semifinals loss in 2007. They had a couple years back then where they made the NIT with some decent teams. So that's what I'll go with.
Tough, man. They only made the quarterfinals that year. They made the final in 1981, though, and they lost to Tulsa. So you were only like 26 years off.
Not too bad.
Yeah. Nyrie, the Florida State Seminoles have also been in the NIT quite a bit. When was their best finish, and what round did they make it to?
Right. I'm so bad at trivia and history. I know they made it to the Final Four once.
But NIT, not NCAA.
Oh God. I'm going to have to say it was probably in, I feel like 1970s.
Do you have a round?
Clock's
We
ticking.
are all good with guesses here. You can just guess. It's fine.
I'm gonna say, oh my God, probably semis.
They actually have made the final of the NIT as well, a loss to Michigan.
That's always
19
Michigan. Oh,
yeah,
it's always a loss to Michigan.
Yeah, in 1997. So you were
Okay.
also like 20 something years off. And that makes me feel good because it makes me feel like the smartest guy in the room, which I usually am, and very impartial and humble as well. But that's all for Matt's Madness on this wonderful weekend afternoon. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you want more, check out our YouTube page at CBB Review. Also, our website, cbbreview.com, as well as Nyrie's TikTok page, which she'd like to plug right now.
I just changed the username to @Nyrie.speaksports, but follow my Instagram @speaksports_. Check out my website, www.speaksports.org. All right. Sorry, I'm not trying to make it about Speak Sports, but do it.
It's all good. You came on, you did a fantastic job. We think it right to give
Thank
you
you.
at least some credit and get you some push as well. We know you're working in this business like we are, and
Thank
that's all we're
you.
trying to do. We support each other. We hope you support us as well at cbbreview.com. Thanks for watching Matt's Madness. Enjoy the madness to come. Have a great night, and we'll see you later on.